What's up guys, Tim from Red Goat Garage here. Today, working on the T-Bucket here, or wherever it is behind me. And you'll probably see me wearing different clothes because it's kind of late in the day already, but I kind of wanted to work on this for a few minutes. So I chip away at it a little here, a little bit there. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for me, I'd really appreciate it. Alright, so what I'm going to be doing here today and this weekend, today's a Friday for me, is kind of stripping everything down. So my next step really is to paint the frame and all the suspension and all that. So I'm maybe like taking off the headlights and the suspension, and there's really not a lot to it, so it really shouldn't take more than an hour or two. Like the front suspension, it's like you'll unbolt these guys here and unbolt the U-bolts there that hold the leaf spring on, and the whole front clip basically comes off. So I'll disassemble that so I can paint all those pieces as well. I got to remove that steering box over there. The body's just sitting there, it's not even bolted down. The rear's about the same as the front. Couple lights, gas tank brackets, a couple trailing arms, and the thing's out. So should go pretty quick, but like I said, I don't have a lot of time today. So I'm going to do this over this weekend, or maybe knock it all out tomorrow or something. I don't know. Obviously you can see I got a bunch of crap in the way too. So I'll work around that a little bit, but we'll get it done. So let me start moving some of this stuff out of the way, and we'll start taking this thing apart and getting it ready for paint. Really quick, I did buy paint for it. So I bought Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer. I don't know. I'm gonna spray it on. I just bought this at Ace Hardware, and then I bought Rust Stop Protective Enamel Indoor-Outdoor Oil-Based Enamel Satin Black. So I'm going to spray that, but I'm actually going to use this really old Harbor Freight spray gun to do that. So yeah, that's the stuff to do it. I'm going to have a wire brush here to prep the frame. So first things first, let's get it stripped down. Alright, I think what I'm going to do here is get all the stuff off the front first, then I'll move to the back. So I think what I'm going to do first is get the frame up on some jack stands here so I can actually unbolt the wheels and everything too. So let's get going. All right, got everything stripped, mostly firewall forward off the frame, all the suspension, headlights, all that good stuff. It really only took me maybe 45 minutes. My son Ben came out and was wanting to learn, so I had to turn the camera off so I could kind of help walk through things with him and show him the process and everything. So that's it for today. You can see it's getting dark. It's about time to go drink a cold beer. So I'm gonna tackle this rear suspension, all that tomorrow, but I wouldn't imagine it taking much more than an hour either. So once all that's off, like I said, we'll start sanding, prepping, priming, painting. So I'll be back in the morning. We're back for day 2. We're gonna disassemble this rear suspension. I got my helper Ben here. And yeah, we're gonna get all this taken apart. I'm not gonna take the wheels off the rear end so it can easily move around still, because I got to send it out to have some work done on the rear end. But basically gotta unbolt this leaf spring from the frame, these 2 upper triangulated arms, these 2 lower trailing arms, fuel tank straps, and should be about it. So let's get going. Okay, everything's disconnected. So I got the gas tank straps off, all the 4-link, the leaf spring. I don't know if you caught it in the time lapse, but this U-bolt over here was stripped, so I had to cut it to get it off, so I have to buy a new U-bolt. So basically, right now the frame is completely stripped, minus this body sitting on here. But like I said, it's not even bolted in, it's just sitting there because I don't have room to put it elsewhere. So really my next step here is to start stripping this frame, and I'm just gonna, like, the paint on here is in good shape, but I'm not really a purple person, so I'm gonna paint it all black. So I'm gonna use that wire cut brush on it and kind of go over it and knock off anything and smooth it all out a little bit and kind of get it prepared for paint. But as of right now, I think it's pretty much good. Like I said, that's going to be my last thing, though, is to strip it down. I was going to have it powder coated, and I decided I'm just going to do it more hot rod style. I'm going to do it myself, and save some money, because the one powder coater wanted like $1,000 or something like that to powder coat this, and I just didn't feel like spending that. So yeah, let me get this wire brush thing going here and kind of see how that goes. It's going to be a little sketchy, so let me show you. Okay, so I went to install the wire cut brush on my Makita angle grinder, and the chuck size here, this guy's a lot smaller than it was on the wire brush cut, and I thought I was kind of out of luck on that, because I bought that wire cut brush about 4 or 5 years ago for a totally different project. I never used it, so I thought I'll use it on the T-bucket frame, but I remembered deep in my metal cabinet here, I had this big old honking thing, which does have the correct chuck size. So I got it on there. I've never actually even used this thing. This was actually my grandpa's. That he passed away a few years ago, and I inherited some of his tools. So yeah, this is a massive 13 amp, 120 volt sander grinder. It says it's RPM is 5,000 RPM, and this wire brush cut's good to 14,000 RPM. So I don't know how good it's going to work with this big old guy. Trying to get in some of these tighter spots, but I figure if I can at least get some of the bigger areas then I can follow up with you know, by hand or something in some of these smaller areas. So I'm definitely going to wear some gloves on that guy and some safety glasses. So let me get set up and let's see how this works. All right. I've been a little nervous using this guy. Well, I didn't die. It works good. Definitely will strip the paint right off of there. So I'm gonna kind of go over some of these bigger areas. I'm not super worried about getting every little bit of paint off of it because the paint on there is really good. It's more of the transition from where I've grinded things to kind of smooth it out. Once it's all in primer and solid color, it'll look great. So I'm gonna keep moving here. Alright guys, I just finished using up that big old grease or dirt on the killer hood grinder thing. Works great actually. It's pretty easy to use and smooth. Guess that works. But it was kind of cool using it because I knew that my grandpa used that. So it's kind of neat using some of the tools that he used he was a cabinet maker by trade. So obviously I'm not making cabinets here, but still kind of cool to use some of the tools that he used. So I'm not going about trying to get every piece of paint off of the car. Like I said, it was more about trying to, some of the areas where I welded, it got heat into the metal and that paint next to it was kind of flaking off. So I wanted to break all that loose stuff off and make sure that what's on there is really good on there. So I just kind of roughly going over everything. So next step is get the body off and finish underneath where the body is and around the rear suspension area a little bit. And then pretty much it's ready to start shooting some primer. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next video where we're going to paint and prime this thing. So see you then. Later.